Alright, spoofing. Let's talk about it. Hello, illustrious ones. It is I, your overseer here. And today, we're talking about the implications of spoofing in Pokemon Go. Now, for those that don't know what spoofing is where you link a third-party application and you make that game think that you are in one geographical location when you are actually in another geographical location. So what's the implications of spoofing? How does it affect Pokemon Go? Well, with a spoofing app, you're able to manipulate the game in such a way to put you in a location that would benefit you in being able to catch certain Pokemon. There are certain Pokemon that are actually more rare than others, and to be able to go to those locations at any time is an unfair advantage. And in the world of Pokemon Go, we actually have different geographical locations where you can't get certain Pokemon. For example, there are regional Pokemon throughout the world. In the United States, we have access to Pokemon that other countries don't have. And the same goes for those countries. They have certain Pokemon that we don't have access to. So for somebody who can use spoofing to go to a different country when they're actually not there, that gives them a bit of an edge. And to legit players who don't use spoofing apps of any sort, to the legit player, it's not the right way to play the game. But for the one that spoofs, the spoof nation, they feel like that it's just a game. To the credit of the legit player, it is an unfair advantage. And to the credit of the spoof nation, it is just a game. That's the reality of what it is that we're doing. This is just a game. It is still cheating. There's a few points that I actually want to make when it comes to spoofing. When you spoof, you are doing a few things that do further hinder the game. For one, it does break Niantic's terms of service. Niantic's terms of service does state that you are not to use a third-party application to manipulate how the game is played. So, for Niantic to have to invest resources into anti-spoofing measures, and for Niantic to shut down these accounts where people have been spoofing, that takes resources. That takes money out of Niantic's pocket as a whole. The other implication that there is when it comes to spoofing is that you have EX raids. EX raids only occur when a group of people have completed a raid successfully at an EX gym location. In the next wave of EX raid passes that go out, if somebody is spoofing, or several people are spoofing, you could potentially be bumping people out of a chance to actually get an EX raid pass, therefore making it more difficult for somebody to potentially get an EX raid invite, especially if they don't get to play the game as often. Now, one of the other arguments that I hear from people who spoof often is they just don't have time to be able to play this game by legitimate means. They have a life. They have other priorities besides being able to play Pokemon Go. I get that. However, when it comes to spoofing, you are still cheating when you spoof. Essentially, you're just saying that because you don't have time, that you have to cheat in order for you to be able to play the game. That's not going to cut it. Time itself is not an understandable reason for you to use a third-party application to manipulate the game in the way that you want to play the game yourself. If you really want to sit at home and play Pokemon, get a 3DS. Get a Switch. The core series games actually have more Pokemon available to them, and you can do that all without having to worry about your account getting suspended. Now, as far as the legit player is concerned, the legit player has this tendency to always push their opinions onto the spoofer. You shouldn't be spoofing. You shouldn't be cheating. You shouldn't be doing these things that you're doing. How dare you? How dare you act in such a way? In the past, when this game first came out, I have been known to push that ideology as well. However, in the past year or so, I've kind of shaped my mentality around the idea that spoofers are just going to play the game the way that they want. You, as the legit player, don't have to engage with the spoofers. Let them do what it is that they want to do. Niantic recently banned 500,000 accounts that were found using a third-party spoofer app. And those accounts were related to Pokemon Go and Niantic's newest IP, or intellectual property, Harry Potter Wizards Unite. That leads me to my next point. Niantic is actually having to use funds to shut down the developers of these third-party applications. That's taking money out of Niantic's account to invest into anti-cheating measures. And honestly, that's not necessary. If people would not cheat, if people would just play the game the way that it's intended to be played, we would have more funds available to improve. There's another argument that's made when it comes to spoofing, and that is some people just live in an urban area. They don't have enough gyms. They don't have enough stops in their area. So they spoof to make it to where they can actually still be able to play the game. Please go back to my last argument. Spoofing and anti-cheating measures are taking funds away from Niantic to be able to further develop this game and further make this game more enjoyable for more players. By spoofing, you're just being part of the problem. You are setting Niantic back further from being able to further develop the game that we all love. There are some people, however, that aren't able to play the game the way that it should be played because of physical limitations. Those that have those limitations, I totally get and I understand. However, that doesn't mean that cheating isn't still cheating. And of those 500,000 accounts that were banned by Niantic recently, how many of those do you think were actually people with physical limitations that were playing the game? Go ahead, I'll wait. It's not reasonable to say of those 500,000 accounts that were banned that the majority of those were from people with physical limitations. Now, I get why people with physical limitations would spoof so they can enjoy the game. I understand that. What I'm saying is the majority of those accounts where people were able-bodied. If you can play this game, if you can play this game and you can play this game legit, then you should get out there and play, even if your time is limited. Whether it be 1 hour a day, 1 hour a week, an hour a month, play the game legit. Sure, you can't get out there as often as you like. Sure, you can't go to a nearby city to enjoy the game more out of an urban area. What you still are doing is still considered cheating. And eventually, your account may actually be lost as a result. Now, when it comes to the legit player does not have the right to sit there and bash somebody who is spoofing, who is doing what they want to do to enjoy the game. I do want to point out, though, that when it comes to the legit player, they are getting out there and being part of a whole. Me, myself, when I'm going out and catching Pokemon, there are quite a few Pokemon that I have a special attachment to, that I find very sentimental. My most valued Pokemon, I could tell you what I was doing, who I was with, how I caught it. I can tell you all of that. To the benefit of the legit player, I totally understand why you value the amount of time that you put into this game. Myself, I know for a fact that when I get out there and I catch Pokemon, and there's certain ones that I have an attachment to, I can tell you the circumstances surrounding the catch and why it was so meaningful to me, why it was so valuable. The legit player has every right to value the time it is that they're putting into the game, not the game itself. It is the time and what they're doing that they take seriously. But for the spoofer knows that they're cheating. They already know the fact that they are breaking terms of service. They've thrown that out the window a long time ago. It's not a concern of theirs. What they are more concerned with is how they're prioritizing things in their life. Do I advocate for spoofing? No, and I never will. I will always stand firm on the fact that people should play this game the way that it was meant to be played. And if you're able-bodied, you should get out there and play this game the way that it was meant to be played. I do side with the legit player, but I understand where the spoofer is coming from, and I don't want there to be animosity. Legit players, let spoofers do what they want, and those that spoof, it's fine. The legit player is going to play the game the way that they want to play the game. If they want to take it seriously, let them take it seriously. It's totally okay. We all love Pokemon. Let's all try to get along. Let players play the way that they want to play. Nobody's forcing anybody to play the game the way that they don't want to play the game. But how we act and how we treat each other can be vastly different. But guys, that's going to do it for me today. I actually wouldn't mind hearing from either of you, whether you be a legit player or whether you be a spoofer. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Be civil though. Be kind to each other. If you feel there are ways Niantic can improve this game, let me know that as well. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for me. And be sure to follow me at all of my social media, at Twitter and Instagram at PGR Overseer. And guys, that's going to do it for me today. Stay illustrious, fam. I'll catch you on the next one.